Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
My wife is from Hines area, and her grandfather was one of the first settlers. And my dad heard that they tapped maple trees, and he said, well, can we go? So we went to Hines and started tapping trees. And that cast iron kettle that you saw in the back was just out in the woods. We would boil the sap in there, and instead of the technical way, we would just taste. And they said if it tastes like syrup, it's syrup. We'd tap, 300 trees maybe. But I think this is kind of interesting. My wife's grandfather would take sumac and make spiles or spouts, where they call them both ways. And their center is kind of pithy, so I don't know if he used a hot rod or what it was, but he would hollow it out and then wrap a wire around it and then hook a tin can onto this. And it's kind of like what we had a little demonstration here is you just drill your hole probably 2 inches deep into the tree and hang the pail underneath it. This year was the first year we used these, and we were really impressed with these. And you can hook into a pail. We're going to be probably going into this a lot more. When you boil it, you just evaporate the water, and it's the syrup that's left. Like I say, you boil 40 gallons of sap, you end up with 39 gallons of water that you boil. Like that stove we have here, if we're really boiling hard, we can probably evaporate 10 gallons an hour. But it's basically, you're just evaporating the water and end up with the syrup. This year was a short year. You never know when, if you get a long, and it ran for less than a week, really good. And this year was a sugar content. Rule of thumb is 40 gallons of sap to a gallon of syrup. Well, this year was mid to low 30s gallons of sap to a gallon of syrup. When you tap, sometimes it'll be just a drop in the drop. And there's other times when it's almost running a steady stream. It's just dripping, and different trees are different. And I think it's not like they're human, but it's like they have veins. If you happen to hit a good vein, they run because you tap maybe 2 or 3 taps in the same tree, and one tap will produce pretty good, another, and you learn, if you tap and you get the dark wood, you don't want to use that. They said that kind of makes it a strong flavored syrup. So, but it's like somebody said, how do you know? There's some ways of testing just the sap that comes out of the tree that you can tell what the sugar content is, of 2% or something like that. But we didn't boil. And then when you come to sell it, they go by the purest, like the real light syrup. And we just end up with kind of this colored. And I found out that it's the hydrometer has to test out a certain way, and I just found out that a gallon of syrup has to weigh 11 pounds to meet the specifications. We're probably the bottom, as far as big producers. We're not, we're small. To me, it's really fun to have these two guys, the three of us, camaraderie, or whatever you want to call it. It's a thing of spring when you get started, and it's work, but it's a lot of fun.
you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.